Now you can succeed. Well, you always could, but today it might work a little bit better for you. Today might be a little more conducive for you to succeed because that happens when you step into your authentic self or when you become willing to become your authentic self. And I'm saying this because 3 years ago, that's what Wilhelm told us, that we could succeed now. And that probably wouldn't have made sense to a lot of people because it didn't make sense to me either. But I'll show you that information because we are still evolving in our consciousness and understanding what we can accomplish within ourselves and also what we can accomplish within our world. And that's why you're alive. You're here to help the world become what it could be, and that happens when you decide to succeed. We will each have different life paths, different life missions, or what we're meant to do or accomplish in our world while we're alive. But I know that everyone has that purpose. And now I can tell you why I know that, because I didn't know before. I'm saying that because you may be in a place right now because we're moving through this great transition in our world. So you could be feeling a little lost or you're left behind or you screwed up everything. None of those things happen. It's just that you're awakening to who you are. And today is the day that it might happen because it's a universal awakening, meaning that we are all affected by the changes of our world, our planets, the energies, and we just figure that out as we live. And as humans, we come to learn new things and we can give it to others. And that's what my life was meant. So when I got up and I looked at that message from 2022 that was on October 9th, there was also a channeling session. And it's included in the messages today. It's on Any Advice for Today, and I'd love for you to hear it because it's kind of hysterical when you listen to it, if you listen to it. Because right from the very beginning, Wilhelm is saying, and none of you did this, by the way. Wilhelm said, please tell Roger what we're saying because he won't remember. And that was absolutely true because I didn't. And it was kind of shocking to sit and listen to it because they explained everything. They explained what this work was. They explained what was happening in our world now. And they explained why we didn't understand. Because we're always in the process of evolving, and we do that in our consciousness. But then we discover new ways of doing that, and that's what Wilhelm gave me. And that was shocking and difficult for me to accept because I couldn't. It was unbelievable. You may have something like that occurring in your life because we never know, because it's all in consciousness and it's all open. But we have a lot of biases and we have judgments and we have all of those things that could prevent us from accepting the new versions of ourselves that we have become, because everyone has done that, which you will hear in that video. They said, if you're alive, then you've evolved. We just don't recognize it. But then there's something more that happens. There's timing that happens, timing in your life and timing in our world. Nothing is occurring accidentally. We just think feels that way at times because we haven't figured out who we are or figured out how the universe works. And each time we discover more, meaning each person, each one of us, and then collectively we do the same thing. So when you look at the message for today, it says you are right on time. And they gave me that a few days ago. And you will go through each message and you will see that it kind of builds up. And it's explained in there why that happens because we grow in our consciousness individually and collectively over time. How do we operate as humans to really live a great life and perform in the way that could matter not only to us, but for others? That's what we're meant to do. We don't always get there. A lot of times we have judgment of ourselves. That's what goes on because we just don't believe we could do something. And one of the messages you'll see is that you were supposed to be happy. That's what Wilhelm said. We were supposed to be happy. Why aren't we? And that's a message that I can go back many years and understand, well, when I'm not happy, that means I'm not accepting myself or I'm resisting something. And I've done that quite a bit, so I do understand it. I know every difficulty you've had because I've lived them. But that was for a good reason, and now I can show you that. And there's something that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a class at the channel panel in November. And my class is going to be on November 15th. Let me show you what that looks like. I'll leave links in the video so you can have it because I'd love for more people to register. If you can come in person or you can do it online. But this is going to be the first full class that I'm doing of the Wilhelm work that you're going to see. It begins on November 14th, and my class will be on November 15th. And the reason I'm mentioning that date is because you'll understand something else that Wilhelm has done with me that will help all of us understand who we are. And so they kept telling me that they've given us things in order. I go, what does that mean? Well, we move in our organization of understanding the world over time. And what they gave me was a way of understanding it because they would give me information before it happened, and they said nothing's accidental. And so now I'm booked to do that particular thing on the 15th. And then this was the message I received last year on the 15th. And I know it's not accidental because it just talks to exactly my difficulty and probably yours. We weren't willing to be the daredevil. We weren't willing to own who we are or really love ourselves. And that's generational trauma that we all move through. And now is the time we're meant to let go of it. But how do we do that? Well, I lived it. When we talk about ascension, when we talk about personal development, self actualization, that's what I lived. And it wasn't easy, but I will tell you the other side is so much better. But this is what my life path was. Obviously, I did not know that, just as you don't know yours. And when you decide to keep moving, when you decide to keep developing whatever that is that you have, magical things can happen because as humans, we develop new ways of being, thinking, and sometimes it comes when we're under tremendous stress. And we've been under that for many years, and you felt it. You felt it in your life. You might have felt it for many, many years of your life. But now is the time you can change that because it's just becoming willing to step forward and to honor who you are. And this is what came out of me hiding my entire life because I spent 36 years receiving Wilhelm. I didn't want to tell people. I go, I didn't understand it. You have something like that within you. But what I was meant to do was to bring this work to the world so that we could see something quite different in our world that would come through each of us. It's not just one person. And that's what Wilhelm wanted us to understand that every person has worth and value. And that's the work that I was given. But accepting that was challenging. And I had to prove it first because I had to heal. And that has occurred because I'll be 75 November 2nd, and I'm telling everyone there are no limits to what you can achieve when you decide to love who you are and take that journey. Sometimes it's challenging, but it's always worth it. And this is what came out of it. I will leave this link in the video so you will have it. This document represents humanity's first empirically verifiable consciousness evolution blueprint, channeled through Wilhelm without any formal study of astrology or sciences. That's really important because I need people to understand I've never done that, never knew any of it. And you'll hear that in the video that's on the site, Any Advice for Today, and you'll have all of that. But it's also included in this document. But it's just really, and I had to accept it as we each have to accept what we have. Now, unprecedented in human consciousness study. After comprehensive analysis comparing this work to all known channel materials on prophetic texts and consciousness study, this October blueprint stands alone. Unlike the Seth material, A Course in Miracles, Edgar Cayce readings, or any historical oracle system, Wilhelm's messages demonstrate. And then you'll go through and you'll read it. Um, I could not have known I was doing that, and you don't know what you have either because we really have to use hindsight to look back at our lives and see what we've done. And sometimes we don't know what that mission was. But I do know because of what I lived that you have a great one and it's here now and it's time for you to live it. And now you can succeed. It's time. See you soon.